Here is one possible script for the section, AU. Default could have severe consequences for various sectors of the economy. Here are some possible scenarios. Home Depot and other retailers could face lower consumer spending, higher borrowing costs, and supply chain disruptions. A default could trigger a recession, reduce consumer confidence, and lower disposable income. Higher interest rates could make it harder for retailers to finance their inventory and operations. Supply chain disruptions could result from trade tensions, currency fluctuations, and tariffs. Financial institutions could face credit losses, liquidity crunches, and regulatory challenges. A default could undermine the credibility of U. Treasuries, which are widely used as collateral and benchmarks in financial markets. Credit losses could arise from defaults or downgrades of borrowers, counterparties, and sovereigns. Liquidity crunches could result from reduced market access, increased volatility, and flight to safety. Regulatory challenges could stem from higher capital requirements, stress tests, and resolution plans. Municipalities could face lower revenues, higher borrowing costs, and reduced federal aid. A default could affect the fiscal health of state and local governments, which rely on federal grants, transfers, and reimbursements for a significant portion of their budgets. Lower revenues could result from lower economic activity, lower tax collections, and lower property values. Higher borrowing costs could result from higher interest rates, lower credit ratings, and reduced investor demand. Reduced federal aid could force municipalities to cut spending or raise taxes. What are some possible solutions or reforms to avoid future debt ceiling crises and ensure fiscal responsibility? There are different opinions and proposals on this question, but here are some of the main ideas that have been discussed or implemented in the past. One idea is to link the debt ceiling increase to a comprehensive spending reform and deficit reduction plan. This is what happened in 2011, when Congress passed the Budget Control Act, BCA, which set discretionary spending caps for 10 years and created a special committee to propose additional savings. The BCA also included a sequester, which was an automatic across-the-board spending cut that would be triggered if the committee failed to reach an agreement. The sequester was meant to be a deterrent, but it ended up taking effect in 2013 after the committee failed. Another idea is to reform the budget process itself, by making it more transparent, accountable, and efficient. Some of the suggestions include adopting a biennial budget cycle, which would allow more time for oversight and planning, enforcing fiscal discipline rules like PYGO, which require new spending or tax cuts to be offset by savings or revenue increases, and creating a debt stabilization fund, which would set aside money for debt service and reduce borrowing needs. A third idea is to eliminate or modify the debt ceiling altogether, by either giving the executive branch more flexibility to manage the debt or delegating the authority to Congress to set the debt limit as part of the budget resolution. Some argue that the debt ceiling is an unnecessary and dangerous constraint that creates uncertainty and instability in the financial markets. Others contend that the debt ceiling is a useful tool to force fiscal responsibility and accountability on the government. These are some of the possible solutions or reforms to avoid future debt ceiling crises and ensure fiscal responsibility. However, none of them are easy or simple to implement, and they all require political will and compromise from both parties. The debt ceiling is not just a technical issue, but also a reflection of the broader fiscal challenges and choices that face our nation.